Okay, next we're going to deal with Kata 5, and Kata 5 is a tricky one because it doesn't have the symmetry. You don't repeat. You do one technique and then you go into a totally different technique. Other katas we've learned, Kata 1, 2, 3, and 4, we've done a certain sequence, but then we've repeated it on the other side, right? So that's symmetry. It's easier to learn. Asymmetrical forms are more common in the higher levels of a martial arts system, but they're a little bit harder to learn. So we want to start you with an easy things, and now we get into harder things. And Kata 5 really is just a series of really cool self-defense techniques. All of them are dealing with types of grabs, like a guy grabbing you from the front, guy grabbing your arm, guy grabbing you in an arm lock, different types of grabs. So I think the difficulty in learning Kata 5 is to get all the angles right. We want to think of a big giant clock to help us out, right? So if we think about it, straight ahead is 12 o'clock, and then where you are behind me is 6 o'clock. That's 3 o'clock. Off to my right, off to my left is 9 o'clock. Like I'm in the middle of a big clock. I'm going to show you the kata, a lot of it, my back to you, so you can face the same way I'm facing as you go through it. It'll make a little bit more sense. I'll stop and give you some references of where we are on the clock. So the kata is going to start off with the normal salutation we've always done, traditional Chinese salutation. We're going to be facing toward 12 o'clock. I'll show you from the side though what the salutation's like. So feet are all the way together, back straight, hands in set position. We step with our right foot forward with an instep step, sometimes called the corkscrew step. As we do that, our right hand comes back in a fist, left hand comes back with the sheath over the weapon beyond the right ear. So we're pulling it back pretty far, looking toward the front. Then we just move into a left cat. Pause in the cat as we drive out the weapon in sheath. We're going to turn it out a little bit as we hit the cat. And we're going to step back with our left foot. We'll lift our hands. We'll step back with our right foot, and we'll bring the hands back to our side. Then we'll start the form. And that's the same way we end the form too, the same salutation. So it's going to be feet together, set position. We're going to step with the right foot, weapon in sheath. Flex your knees a lot, come into a left cat, pause, step back with your left foot, lift your hands, step back with your right foot, pull your hands back. Showing the weapon in sheath. Kind of turning it out, that's showing a bit more of an aggressive type of a position, like a sword that's being pulled out of its scabbard, like you're ready to fight, right? You're ready to show. Kind of like what we'd use in sparring. Opposite of that would be a full closure over the weapon. If you're bowing to a very high-ranking person, it would show a lot of reverence, showing that you're not threatening at all. If you showed a bow to somebody about your rank, maybe it'd be more like this, kind of neutral. And if you were sparring and you were showing a more aggressive stance, you'd show the weapon turned out, like we do when we do the salutations in the higher ranking forms. So first technique is the two-headed serpent. That's a guy grabbing you and pulling you in. We've reviewed that before. We'll just go over it again. Again, I'll show you from the back. So salutation first. Right foot steps in. Fire the Chinese U-punch. Now I'm going to step out my right foot to 130, 45 degrees, 130. Set position, inward block. Now, hard bow, turn my left foot, hard bow, outward block. Eye dart, reaches out, single fingered eye dart. Then horse stance, and I'll punch. Punching out toward that angle, 45 degrees on the clock. That's 12 o'clock, so I'm out at about 10:30 in that punch. And I'll move into a right cat toward 12 o'clock. Do 2 single-fingered eye darts going toward that tree toward 12 o'clock. I'm in a right cat. Then horse stance toward 3 o'clock. Double falcon's talons. 2 dragons fighting for the pearl, falcon's talons. Then left foot comes in, circles behind the guy like we do in full Nelson. Hands cocked back, right hard bow, elbow to the head, hammer fist low to the groin. Big disparity between these. I'll look over my shoulder. Then I'll do a right cat stance toward 3 o'clock. Hands come to hidden hand. Look over toward 3 o'clock. And I'll move into a horse stance toward 3 o'clock. Outward block and punch. I've seen this kata done so many times when people go too fast. When they do that punch, they kind of shortcut it. It doesn't really do anything. It's bad martial arts. It doesn't practice anything that's effective. So when you practice it, let your body rotate, get your knuckles lined up, and really flex your body and have intention behind that punch. Make that work. If a guy were off to your side and he moved in at you quickly, you're basically just stepping in and nailing him with that punch, right? Knocking him out. And this is just protecting you on the way in case his hand's in the way or there's something that could interfere. You're clearing that out of the way. The next technique is like the crash of the eagle where a guy chokes you from behind. So I was facing 3 o'clock, horse stance. Now I'm going to do a cross step with my left foot toward 12 o'clock. I'm going to hide the hands on my left hip. And come around with my right arm, a big arc, to break the guy's arms off of my neck. Using my tricep. Then hard bow, rigid claw. So I knocked his arms down and I'm coming right into his eyes. Then from here, Chinese guard, reverse punch to the solar plexus, then pivot to a horse, reverse punch to the jaw, then elbow to the jaw, rotate into a bow, hammer fist to the groin. So that's light crash of the eagle. It's kind of a more advanced version, but the same attack, somebody's choking you from behind. So you were at 3 o'clock, you did your punch, cross step, hide your hands, rotate big circle, rigid claw to the eyes. Then reverse punch, pivot to a horse, reverse punch, elbow, pivot to a bow, hammer fist. Step up with your left foot to a left cat. Grab left hand on your right wrist. What's going on, this is crossing talon. If somebody grabbed your wrist with their left hand, with their right hand, you would step up and you would trap their hand. Then you would come over their wrist with the chop part of your hand and you would grab their arm. So it's like a reverse grip. They grab you, you trap them, you step up with your left foot for more leg strength and core strength. You chop into the wrist, grab the guy's wrist, and then take your left foot, step in toward 6 o'clock, toward the back, and come down, breaking his arm with your forearm. Just like in crossing talon. And then pull your arm back and drive an elbow into his temple as you pull the guy with the other hand. Pull him in. Then use your forearm, drive down on his arm, big circle, over your head, elbow to the spine. So you see a lot of people learn Kata 5, they learn the cool techniques. A lot of them they already knew, but when they blast through Kata 5, they don't think about what they're doing. They're just going through a bunch of random moves. They don't get their stances deep. They don't flex their muscles when they're hitting. A lot of the motions get too small. They shortcut, and it's all for naught. I mean, why practice that? It's probably actually worse than not practicing, because you're practicing then things that are too small and too weak that wouldn't work, and you try that in a street fight, you're going to get hurt. So whenever you practice katas, once you know the pattern, really visualize what's happening and do it powerfully. Make sure your weapons are lined up. Make sure every part would work, because you're rehearsing for a real situation. You hope that real situation never happens, but you want to think it's going to happen today. So you want to be ready, and that's how kata should be done. I've seen a lot of people miss the boat on that, and the only thing they're getting from their kata is maybe a little bit of development of coordination and certainly good cardiovascular exercise. But towards street fighting, toward self-defense, it's actually working against them, because they're not doing it in a functional way. So the best kata practitioners are those who picture what they're doing. So we broke his grip. We're firing out towards 6 o'clock. We did the rigid claw, did the reverse punch to the solar plexus. We pivot the hip, punch the jaw. We did an elbow to the jaw, rotated to a hard bow, hammer fist to the groin, left cat stance, trap the hand, rolling wrist grab, step in, break the arm, elbow to the temple, circle over, elbow to the back, and then we're going to do 2 punches, usually going out toward 9 o'clock, straight out toward 9 o'clock. This is supposed to be somebody grabbing you low, like trying to grab your belt, trying to get into your pockets, and you use the outside of your arms, and you break down on the inside of their arms to make them release. That's the application. It's done in Kata 5, it's done in Kata 6, and the idea is to drop your stance, drop your body weight, use the outside of your arms like a wedge to break loose on the weaker part, sensitive part of their arms. Once you do that, your hands come back to a set position and you fire a right side kick. Side kick goes out toward 10:30, that corner, 45 degrees. You try to time it so right when your hands touch, that's when your kick hits. So you're going to fire a kick, and then you're going to land horse. When you land horse, now you're landing off toward 10:30, 45 degrees. You were just straight, huh? You were just out toward 12 o'clock with your stance. You punched out toward 9 o'clock. Fire the kick toward 10:30, 45 degrees out here. And then you land in a horse on that same angle, 45 degrees. When your foot lands, you fire 2 heel of hands into the kidneys. This guy's in front of you, he's like facing you. Deep horse, heel of hands to the kidneys, hit and come through, back towards your hips. So we call that a glancing blow. It hits into the kidney and comes through the target, Then you're going to fire 2 punches coming down. That's punching somebody in the groin, but instead of one hand, you're coming in with 2 hands. Bam! You come back to a set, and you fire 2 middle knuckled fists stacked on top of each other like that. That goes higher to the solar plexus. So you go groin, come back, solar plexus, come back, and then eyes, you're going up, come back. So you're going double heel of hands, punch the groin, punch the solar plexus, stacked, come back, cross over the 2 hands, jab the eyes. Okay? That's the sumo. That's like the sumo guy grabs you low, like we did back in the sumo. But we just do it differently. We break free, fire the kick. In a street fight, the kick is not done high. In the kata, it's done high. It's done rib level. You could do it higher. You're so flexible. You could go higher. But in a street fight, it's really low. It's just into the inside of his knee. So in actual fighting, we think that tactically it's unwise to kick high. Unless a high target has come down for you, like you hit him in the body, his head drops, then kicking someone in the head is a great idea. But like we see in the movies, somebody fires a kick head height, it's not smart. It takes too long to get up there, it's easy to block, it's easy to get out of the way. It loses power. The higher you go up, the more your muscles are constrained and you're losing energy. So good for movies, good for demonstrations, lousy in a fight. Most really practical systems, they don't teach those high kicks to the head. It's good for sport though, because the referee can see you get the point. But in a street fight, Kata 5 though, just to develop the muscles, let's fire at least hip level, okay? So we're gonna go punch, 9 o'clock. Right when your hands come back, we fire the side kick. It's a speed thrust kick. We land 45 degrees out toward 1030. Double heel of hands, punch the groin, come back, solar plexus, come back, eye darts. Then your left foot is going to step out that same corner, 1030, lift your hands up. You're going to end up doing the headlock technique we learned a long time ago. So we're going to come up, big circle, we land in a horse, we fire 2 hammer fist, left one down low to the groin, right one up high to the kidney. We do a guard with the left hand, reach up over, grab the face with the right hand, rip the head back by pulling against the eyes, then hard bow and heel of hand into the jaw. Kind of weird though, this time instead of doing a set position like we would in a fight, in Kata 5, the right hand goes behind you like this. That's showing that all of a sudden when you hit that one guy, some other guy attacks you. It's like a real street fight. They come at you, they don't take turns, they're coming at you all at once, right? So you hit that one guy in the jaw, that part of the fight's over, and as you're hitting him, this hand comes back behind your back because all of a sudden you got put in an arm lock. And the next time we do a video, we're going to show how to get out of that arm lock.